What is Sword Art Online Alicization? That question is not particularly easy to answer without, going into too much spoiler territory, but we learned about Wrath at the end of Sword Art Online Ordinal Scale. We experienced quite a lot with the Alicization teasers and the one full trailer that we have right now, talking about the Underworld, artificial floodlights, and of course Kirito getting injected via a syringe. Now, I can't tell you what happens to Kirito, but I can safely give you some insight about Alicization without going into any content spoilers, thanks to the leeway provided by the teaser so far. In this video, the most I'll be talking about will be incredibly minor spoilers. If you're too spoiler sensitive, I recommend clicking away, but if you want to meet these characters and the world on a surface level without any plot details, I'm in a good position to deliver exactly that. Welcome to my channel everyone, it's me Gamerturk, and today I will be talking about the characters of Alicization and the basic lore of the Underworld, the VR environment of the Alicization arc, without any plot elements, as well as how this arc ties into the previous stories of Sword Art Online. Now, after this video, if you have specific questions about Alicization, please ask them to me on Twitter at Gamerturk95. Since I don't want to upload any spoiler content here on my channel, I won't be answering spoilery questions in the comment section of this specific video, but I'll gladly respond to you in written or video form over there on Twitter. But without further ado, in the light novels, Alicization starts in June 2026, just a couple of months after Mother's Rosario, which was in spring 2026. Alicization follows after Yuki's death and continues for a full 10 volumes, 12 volumes if you count the Moon Cradle story, which we are not yet sure if A1 is adapting within Alicization anime run. But even without Moon Cradle, the story is already longer than the combination of the previous two seasons, as all Aincrad, Fairy Dance and Phantom Bullet consist of 2 volumes each, and with Caliber plus Mother's Rosario, it becomes, more or less 8 volumes. However, with the release of Ordinal Scale and anime original story, the events of Alicization will probably be changed in very minor ways to fit the new continuity, considering Ordinal Scale events take place before the beginning of Alicization. And speaking of Ordinal Scale, our first contact with a possible Alicization anime was the post-credit scene of Ordinal Scale, with Kikoka Seijiro inviting Professor Shigemura to Wrath, a mysterious place where he is building a new VR world. And of course, he also tells him about one of his goals with this specific project.
先生の作られた人工知能、とても興味深く拝見しました。トップダウン型 AI の行き着くところを見た気がします。しかし、私はもう一つの未来も信じています。
菊岡君、これは一体。
ようこそ、ラースへ。
At which point, he welcomes Professor Shigemura to Wrath. And now, I begin with the introductions. The person you see with the pointy hair on the left is Higa Takeru, one of the main developers of the Soul Translator device that you heard in the trailer. If you want to hear more, you can check out my Alicization trailer explained video by clicking the upper right corner, but I won't be focusing on the outside world aspect in this video too much. The main attraction of this video is visible in the background. That is the central location of Underworld. Central Capital Centauria, as the name suggests, is the capital city of Underworld, where Axiom Church stands with its huge colossal structure unlike anything else in Underworld. Axiom Church is effectively the ruling power of this VR world and are tasked with keeping the world in order. Their main accomplishment towards this goal is something you have heard in the trailer already: the Taboo Index. Now, the Taboo Index affects Underworldians and forbids actions like murder, theft, or stepping outside of the human empire borders. These rules are absolute, and in the offset chance of an Underworldian attempting or even thinking about stepping off these limits, the effects of these rules kick in to keep them in check. We also got a glimpse of this in the trailer with the red sign in Yugioh's eye rendering him motionless as he was attempting something. However, Taboo Index is not the only measure in the world to maintain the order. Human Empire is vast and consists of 4 smaller empires within. based on the cardinal directions north, east, west and south, divided by huge walls called everlasting walls that you can make out in this visual as well. And within these empires, along with the taboo index, more localized and even specific building rules exist, such as, schools as well as the culture of the inhabitants themselves. But then again, the human empire is not the only place in Underworld. We have seen parts of the dark territory in the trailer, and the fancy knight you see here is an integrity knight. They work for the Axiom Church to keep the human empire safe from outside threats. Much like Dussolbert Synthesis 7 here, a bunch of integrity knights patrol the End Mountains, the borders of the human empire, to fend off creatures like the Dark Knights and goblins to keep the inhabitants out of trouble. While the mystery behind the inhabitants of Underworld is for you to find out, including Kirito as an Underworldian, I can introduce you to some key characters on the surface level. Obviously, you already know Kirito, Asuna and Shinon that we saw in the trailers, so I'll be glossing over them for obvious reasons. Professor Shigemura, who wasn't in the novels, but will probably, maybe, be adapted in due to obvious timeline changes, is also someone you know. I'll be glossing over Kikoka, who you know to a certain extent already, as well as Higa Takeru, because it's kind of impossible to keep their explanations spoiler free due to the lack of vagueness to them. However, the inhabitants of the Underworld are quite easy to introduce on a surface level, especially the two main characters. Yugioh, the blonde boy with green eyes from the northern village of Rulid. He is significantly troubled by some memories from his past that he doesn't have a... let's say that he doesn't have a perfect recollection of. But as a kid, just like every other Underworldian, he received a calling, effectively his job. He is tasked with chopping away an unfellable tree, Giga Cedar, next to the village of Rulid, that is draining the life of the surrounding area, preventing the village from growing further. The Vulcan embodiment of honesty, as he is described by Kirito, Yugioh becomes Kirito's companion as they both chase their goals towards the south. Yugioh has more of a reserved personality in general, and unlike Kirito, has utmost respect to the established rules like the Taboo Index, which includes chopping away at the tree all his life. Whether good or bad, Kirito does have a strong influence on the boy early on that brings the determination of Yugioh from the depths of his heart, as the memory of a black-haired kid and a blonde-haired girl drives him forward. Throughout their adventures, more or less every light novel volume, so about every 6 to 7 episodes probably, will have dedicated side characters, powerful friends, mysterious guides, and friendly allies that will require Kirito and Yugioh's help, as well as twisted enemies, all of which will reveal more of this mysterious world working on completely different levels than any other VR environment. But what about the other main character, the girl, you may ask? Well, she is Alice, again, from the small northern town of Rulid. The other main character that you won't see for a while. Alicization is a long series talking about Alice, kind of borders too close to major spoilers, so I'll try keeping this short. Ever since she was a kid, Alice was very talented at sacred arts, a form of, let's say, magic in Underworld. So she was tasked with practicing these sacred arts in the church. While Yugioh is more obedient to the rules, Alice is kind of, well, more intrigued by things. With Kirito around, she always finds a way of going on adventures that would get all three of them really close to trouble. By nature of this world, none of them can intentionally break the taboo index, but it can be argued that Alice is even more skilled at finding a variety of ways to push the boundaries of what is allowed than even Kirito is. But that is as much as I can say about Alice. Again, I'll be more thorough once Alicization begins airing with my Alicization Explained series, but at the moment, this is as far as I can get without spoiling you. Hopefully, this video kinda gives you an idea as to what to expect in this huge arc. If you have further questions, again, do ask them to me on Twitter at Gamerturk95, and I'll make sure to answer them in written or video form over there, depending on if your question can be answered in 280 characters or not. Remember that Alicization anime will start airing in October, but the first episode will have a special early premiere in certain cities around the world in theaters. Also, if you haven't heard, the first episode will be a 1 hour long special, so that will definitely be one hell of a way to kick off the brand new arc. For more news, once again, I recommend following me on Twitter. While I don't make a video for every single piece of news that can be summarized in a couple of words, I share everything conveniently on Twitter, so if you don't want to miss these, following me there is definitely the way to go. Next week, I plan on uploading my Attack on Titan video, and, well, considering the copyright claims that plagued my Darling in the Franxx video, I'll make the initial upload available to my patrons on Patreon, whether it gets flagged or not, and I will make the video public after I manage to upload a version that won't get flagged by the bot. Either way, I'll keep all of you updated, but if you're not a patron, chances are you may get the video a couple of days later than when I intended it to be. But I hope you understand the circumstances. It's not really in my hands with how random the content ID system works here on YouTube. But that's pretty much it. Huge thanks to my current patrons Candela Shred and Tiffany, as well as my newest patron Bold Ulysses. A huge welcome to you. As usual, you can find me on Twitter at Gamerturk95 and on Facebook.com/Gamerturk. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.